Shopping carts. What are they? Well, that's an amazing question. Shopping carts are big carts with wheels on it used for convenience. Many of us have seen one before. And in case you haven't, though, this is how one looks like. It's pretty beautiful. With that being said, I'm making shopping cart and build a boat. This video goes over the process on how I made it and build a boat. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe and hit the notification bell. So in build a boat, I had a frame down. Before making this build, I didn't really know where I'd go with it. So I made a frame, a metal frame. Right there, I was really getting intricate on the details. I was trying to make a one-on-one shopping cart. I will put the reference image so you can see what I'm talking about. But so far, it's coming out good. That's how it looks like. It's a pretty good shopping cart. I skipped a little bit of the build. I'm not too sure why, but if I were to guess, I'd say some of it got cut off in the footage. But look at that curve. Right now we're making a handle. You could see I circled it for reference image just in case you missed it. But it's coming out so good so far. Right now I'm trying to get the curve that you see on the handle. This was a little difficult to do on my own, so I used a website about how to make circles so I can get a hemi circle. I'd say it turned out pretty well. Pretty well and pretty nice. I'm shimming it around so it can look good. Right there, I'm selecting it and mirroring it so I can rotate it. And I moved it around so I can make them match. This took like around 10 minutes, I'd say. And it was difficult. But I'd say it came out well, even though I had to select every part and scale it down. Now well, right now I'm just touching upon it. My work really isn't that good, but I split it down the middle so I can mirror it, and it saves me like 30 minutes of time. You can see I'll do it right there. Look, give it a second. Boom, right there. That's the frame. Right now, I'm still making the little metal frame. I'm sure you've all seen shopping carts. And this is how one looks like. Selecting and reselecting everything is kind of a tough job. right there, just looking at the image. Here's another circle. I don't really like making circles. I think it is one of the more tougher parts of builds, which is why I don't like it as much when I'm building. But this build, it took out a lot of energy from me. It wasn't good. That's one part done, which means I was able to clone it and move it around. After that, I was kind of lost on where to go from there. So I just made a handle, colored it red. And right now I'm starting on the big cart, the one that you see in the middle. I didn't really want to go with the design in the picture because that'd be a little bit hard to do. And I wanted to go with a darker red. But so far, I think it came out well. Some people were trying to mess around and throw thrusters at me, which was infuriating. And it did distract me for a moment, so they won on that. Mid build, I realized that shopping carts are slanted, so I had to rotate everything so it can give it that shopping cart look. This took time because I had high sensitivity, and also I'm using a mouse pad, so it's kind of hard. This took a lot of time and work right here. Selecting everything was tough. And halfway through, I realized that they don't look the same. And I could have saved myself so much time if I just selected it and moved it in, like the other half. And I got to do it at the end, so that was good. I learned from my lesson. I delete all of the duplicated parts I had there already. And then I keep going with it. I think the I think that's something good out of there. I cloned it and saved myself time instead of redoing it on the other side. I think that was like a good move for myself, if I'm being honest. Now we move on to day two. So I spawn in, and then I realized that not everything saved. But I realized with autosave, I got it back. Since I was so bored, I made myself a tiny little figure And to be fair, I'm not an artist, so my proportions aren't really that good. Like they are horrendous. Look at that. There is a neck, a head, and then decide to paint the shirt black and the pants white because these days that's all ever that's all I see in the streets is either white shirt, black pants, or black shirt, white pants. Now I finished the interior of the car. Since there's so many parts, I had to reselect everything, which was infuriating to say the least. Now there's a little bit of mistakes I made, but I fixed them. Since I finished, I didn't really know what else to do. It was between starting the wheels or starting on the other thing. So there I am making the little seat. I made it blue because the blue and red contrast are one of my favorite things. But now I realize I had to make another circle because in shopping carts you have things like no standing on it, no babies older than 5 years old able to sit on it, stuff like that. So I made a circle that covers that. And it takes me a while to make it, but I did get to finish it. That's one, and that's two. Now I think the hardest part in this build is the wheels. I hated making the wheels. It was probably the worst few minutes of my life that I hated the most. Making the wheels. They took up most of the time you see here. I didn't know where to make small wheels, big wheels, or stuff of that nature. See, in clicking every part, I think that was also one of the worst parts ever. You see that one person trying to get into my base? That person distracted me a little. And then, yeah, almost finished with that triangle. I painted it red because behind it, the metal, it was kind of hard to select all the pieces. So coloring it red was how I was able to differentiate the from the metal and the actual wheel itself. The little thing connected to the wheel. I'm thankful that we have all these scale tools and trowels because if I would have clone to a near tool, making this build would be so hard than it already is. And also the wheel, it took a lot of time because I was making 3 separate wheels. No, not three, not well, yeah, 3 separate wheels per wheel, and you're gonna see it right now. No, thinking back, I should have given that figure a face because it has such a blank stare. There we go. No, the game crashed because somebody lagged it so hard, so I had to remake the wheel. I think the game crashing was something good that happened to me because just doing this wheel took a lot of time and effort and sapped out a lot of energy outside my brain. Ooh, right there, I'm making another wheel. This process took super long. Like these 2 wheels took super long. But what really kept me going was, the fact that I wanted to see this build finished. I really wanted to see the end result. I think the third wheel was easier to make because I just had to scale everything down. It still took a while since, I had to press everything. There we go. No, when I was making this board, it looked like a certain logo. Not too sure if you guys know this logo, but it looked a lot like it. There I am making the wheel. I was testing around with it, but my design didn't work, so I went with another design. And this design worked. It worked well, so I kept it. And to save myself time, I was trying to copy and paste it, clone it, but that did not work well, so I had to remake everything. And that includes the triangle, the wheels itself, everything, which is probably the worst part. I'm not too sure what I was trying to do here, but I finally got rid of it and made a new wheel. This is a very small wheel. And then another person that, distracted me. This was a different server since the other server crashed. And then I made the second wheel. That's the second wheel right there. Now after this build, I was hoping I'd never to touch another wheel again. But I think future one of my builds might require that I touch another wheel. Not too sure what to build though. And there we go. That's one wheel now. It was amazing. Now I just had to make another triangle. I realized I was building on anchor mode. No, unanchored mode on this triangle. So I had to anchor it. There's me doing the triangle again. I was cloning everything, making the sheet. I think this time it was a little quicker since I cloned everything from the start. But still, it was time consuming, not really fun. And then I finally finished it, which felt like such a relief. And now I finally got to work on the mechanics of the build itself after doing this. And I'm thinking about adding some TNT to this build after this video. So yeah, there's that. Now I add mechanics to the wheels. I think this was the easiest part of the build by far, since it didn't require much. But the idea behind this was to have everything there you go. That's the real wheel right there. I added a driver's seat, tested it out, and it worked pretty well. So I did it again, this time to include a little figurine in it. And that was it. I made sure I had everything down, alluding to myself. But then he got off the car. So I think this is not really practical if you want to get to the end, because I just got shot down by lightning like 20 times right there. Now one frame, and that's it. Goodbye.